Those in debt, these fall into different categories. These include those who incurred expenses in solving disputes among others, those who have guaranteed a loan that has now become due, those who cannot pay their debts, and those who committed sin but then repented. All of these may be given to as part of this category. The basis for this is the hadith of Qabisa, who said, I incurred a debt resolving a dispute between people and went to the Messenger of Allah asking him to help pay it. The Messenger of Allah said, wait until some charity is brought to us so that we give it to you. He then said, oh, begging is not allowed except in 3 cases. A man who incurred debts solving disputes, he is allowed to ask until he collects its amount, and then must stop. A man who was inflicted by a disaster that consumed his wealth, he is allowed to ask until he collects what suffices for his livelihood. And a man who was overcome by poverty, such that 3 knowledgeable relatives of his stand up and proclaim, so and so was overcome by poverty. This man is allowed to ask until he collects that what sustains his livelihood. Other than these cases, begging is an unlawful amount that one illegally consumes for Allah's cause. This refers to the fighters who have no right to receive money from the public treasury, according to Ahmad. It also includes the pilgrimage to Mecca based on a hadith. Ibn Kathir is referring to the following hadith narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Messenger of Allah was intending to perform the pilgrimage. A woman said to her husband, let me make the pilgrimage with the Messenger of Allah. He replied, I have nothing for you to make the pilgrimage on. She said, let me ride on such and such camel of yours. He replied, it is being kept for the sake of Allah. He then went to the Messenger of Allah and said, my wife conveys her greetings to you. She has asked me to make the pilgrimage with you. I told her that I have nothing for her to make the pilgrimage on, and she requested such and such camel. I told her that it was being kept for the sake of Allah. The Prophet then told him, if you let her make the pilgrimage upon it, it would be for Allah's cause, for the wayfarer. This refers to the traveller who is cut off in a foreign land and has nothing to help him along in his journey. He is to be given from the zakah until he is able to reach his homeland, even if he be a person of wealth. This is also the ruling for a person who starts a journey from his land and has no money. He is to be given sufficient money from the zakah until he is able to go and return. The evidence for this position is in the verse above as well as the following hadith recorded by Abu Dawood and Ibn Majah from the hadith of Mama from Yazid ibn Aslam from Atha, who said that the Messenger of Allah said, it is not permissible to give charity to a rich person except in 5 cases: one employed to collect the zakah, a fighter for the sake of Allah, a rich person who bought an item of charity with his wealth, a poor person who is given charity and then he gives it as a gift to a rich person, and a debtor. Zakat for the paid at the end of Ramadan. Its ruling. is an obligation upon every Muslim, said the Messenger of Allah. Obligated zakat al-fitr as one of dates or barley, it is a must upon every slave and a free person, male and female, young or old, of the Muslims. He ordered that it should be given before going out to perform the Eid prayer. Its wisdom. The Messenger of Allah obligated zakah al-fitr as purification for the fasting person from foul or vain speech, and to feed the poor. If someone gives it before Eid prayer, it is an accepted zakah. If someone gives it after the Eid prayer, it is simply a type of charity. Upon whom is it obligatory? It is obligatory upon every free Muslim who possesses enough to support himself and his family for one day and night. It is obligatory for him to be on behalf of himself and all whom he supports, such as his wife, children, and servants, if they are Muslims. Ibn Umar said, the Messenger of Allah ordered that zakah al-fitr be given on behalf of the young, old free slave and those whom you support. Its amount obligatory upon every individual is half of what, or a SA of dates, raisins, barley, or dried yogurt, or other kinds of food that can take their place, such as rice and other staple foods. The evidence for the obligation or of a half of wheat is in the hadith of that during the time of the Messenger of Allah used to give the zakah on behalf of a family, the free and the slaves among them. He would give half of wheat or dates according to the measures, and that would support them. The evidence that for other than wheat one must give is in the hadith of who said, we used to give zakah of meal, barley, dates, dried yogurt, or raisins. According to the most of the jurists, it is not allowed to give its value in money, however, allow it. This was stated by An-Nawawi in Shah. Say about Hanifa's view is to be rejected because your Lord is not forgetful, and had giving its value been permissible, Allah or His Messenger would have made that clear. Hence, it is obligatory to stop